I pulled some cards this morning for the Scorpio full moon, and I got the Hierophant, the Six of Wands, and the Nine of Pentacles, right? And so the three questions I asked was what needs to be embodied, and I got the Six of Wands. What needs to be released? The Hierophant, and how do we do that? And the Nine of Pentacles. And so here's what I got as I was meditating on the cards, and I wrote some things down. The Hierophant is a card about religious beliefs, or about contracts or systems. And it could either be contracts, systems, and beliefs that are helping us or that are not working for us, right? And so that's what needs to be released. Outdated belief systems, outdated structures, and in some cases, religion. You know, you're going to find during this time that you might have more of this energy of seeking and being open to some of the answers that you're going to get. But I wanted to talk about Scorpio for a second, because if we talk about the sign of Scorpio, if we look at the sign, Scorpio is about depth, intensity, things that are close to the heart, emotions. And Scorpio is also about rebellion. And in the lighter side, Scorpio is about rebelling against, like the norm, like Scorpio doesn't like to go with the norm just because everybody's doing it. Matter of fact, Scorpio doesn't like the normal, and a lot of times when the Scorpio's younger, it wants to rebel against everything that's normal because it doesn't make sense to them. Like for them, they're just not going to believe something just because everybody else believes it. And they're not even going to believe something because they were taught to believe it. They're going to do the opposite, right? So, rebellion, is rebellion against dogma is what comes to mind when I think about Scorpio. And so on the lighter side, they're rebelling against the norm and they have their own belief system. On the darker side, they're rebelling against themselves, so basically what this full moon's going to be about is habits, addictions, belief systems, religion, and how some of these things need to be released. Some of these things are just not working for us, and they're holding us back from where we're trying to go. And we're like really holding on tight to these belief systems because we're just so afraid to let them go. Even though they're not working for us, even though they're making us miserable, this full moon's going to really help you with that. And, my suggestion is to go with the flow and not try to fight against it, because if you fight against it, it's going to be really uncomfortable for you. But, if you go with the flow, you're going to find that you're going to have questions, and those questions, you're going to get the answers to, in some way. The universe is going to bring those answers to you. Go with the flow. Be open. Be open. And another thing, a couple things, I just wrote some things down here, about doing your own thing, and not being held back by your family's belief systems, or, the system's, structure of doing things, but doing it your way, doing it the way that you feel most comfortable about. And it's also a big thing that I'm hearing is self-acceptance. This is going to be a big, this is going to be an energy that shows you that, you need to accept yourself. You need to accept the lighter parts of yourself and the more shadowy aspects of yourself. Um, and Another thing that I feel like I want to mention is belief systems, regarding in connection to how you deal with your emotions. Um, that's going to be a big one for this full moon because, and this is how this is going to look, like, say you're at a job and you really want to raise, but you're afraid to actually stand up for yourself and ask the boss for more money. You're afraid that you're not good enough. You're afraid that he might turn you down. So, what you might have done in the past is just kind of watched other people get raises or promoted, and you just sat there and grew resentful about it. Well, I feel like this full moon's going to help you actually start speaking up. And it's going to help you process those emotions that are causing you not to speak up, and to think you're not good enough so that you can become more comfortable, and confident to go talk to your boss about giving you more money because you know that you deserve it, right? How that's going to work out as far as your love life is going to be concerned is that you're going to stop depending on the other person so much, to where you're not actually speaking up and stating your needs or stating how you feel because you're afraid of what the other person's going to say. Like, you're depending so much on what that person's going to do or how they're emotionally going to respond to you that you're staying quiet, and just kind of allowing things to be what they are. But meanwhile, you have all these things to say, but you've been afraid to say anything because you don't know how they're going to react. Well, this full moon's going to give you that confidence to get some things off your chest and understand that you can trust yourself, that it doesn't matter how they respond, that your voice just needs to be heard. This is what this full moon is going to support you in doing, so, some of the most the things I'm hearing the most is about releasing dogma, letting go of rebelling against yourself, following your own following your own lead, and not following the paths of your families or society or, people at work just because you were told to do it, but to actually question everything and find out why you're doing what you're doing exactly, or why you believe what you believe, and trusting yourself more, and self-acceptance being the other thing that's really important is just to accept yourself and to forgive yourself and be at peace with your past decisions, and realize that you did the best you could with the information that you had, um and some of the things you did it is because it is you, and just because everybody else doesn't agree with it or you were taught that it was wrong doesn't necessarily make it wrong. So that is the energy update, and I will talk to you soon.